And we continue at 1:06 in the afternoon on the John Phillips Show. Mr. Randy Wangs in Culver City.
John, in her speech addressing JPAC, the Jewish Political Action Committee in California, Katie Porter had lots to say, and it's time to play Are We Supposed to Laugh or Clap?
I'm a longtime member of the JCC in my community, and I actually have worked out within the last year.
I've actually worked out within the last year.
Is that a laugh line or is that a clap line?
Wait, it's a Jewish group. It's not a physical fitness group, correct?
Well, yes, but the JCC is like daycares and like YMCAs that are very expensive in the Jewish community, and I guess they have one in Irvine, and so she's gone there to work out.
I see.
I'm a longtime member of the JCC in my community, and I actually have worked out within the last year.
Yeah, I don't know if you're sitting there and you're trying to be polite, if you laugh, if you clap, or if you just sit stone face.
Little D.
Someone needs to write a letter to Emily Post.
Please.
She's still alive. I don't know. 800-222-5222 is the telephone number, 1-800-222-5222. Well, I may have been on vacation last week, but the Down-Ass kids, well, they didn't go on vacation. And because of that, we have a lot of crime blotter stories to bring you.
If the cashier is dummy.
Questions?
No.
And Randy, the first edition takes us to a place I know well, the casino.
There are card room casinos in the city of Los Angeles and in the county of Los Angeles. Now, they're not full casinos. You can't play slots there, but you can play certain card games. Although it's really strange when you go to a place like the Commerce Casino or the Bike or Hawaiian Gardens, because every time you play a $10 hand of blackjack, you have to pay them $1 to make it legal, however that works.
You have to tip them?
It's like a holding fee, but it's somehow you giving them $1 makes it so it's legal to play blackjack when you're not on a native reservation. Regardless, occasionally at these card rooms, people win big. And that's when the criminals target you, follow you to the parking lot, and rob you at gunpoint.
Uh-oh.
For more on these L.A. County casino robberies, here is KTLA.
Two Southgate men are facing federal charges tonight after authorities say they stalked and robbed unsuspecting casino winners at gunpoint. The pair is said to have hunted their targets in casinos, then ambushed them after they left.
Oh, boy.
Well, you may have won big, but by the time you got to your parking spot, your luck was up.
Rick Chambers is live at the Commerce Casino with more on how the daring duo nearly got away with
Daring duo, great alliteration.
How the daring duo nearly got away with hundreds of thousands of dollars. Rick?
Wait, the payouts are that big?
Wait, how much did they say?
They said hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Duo nearly got away with hundreds of thousands of dollars. Rick?
Okay, that means they must have been betting ridiculous amounts. Because you could put in, I don't know, $5 into a slot machine, hit the button, and then you win the jackpot. You win the grand. And then you win some obscene amount of money. But if you were to win that amount of money playing blackjack, you must have been betting, I don't know, at least $1,000 a hand.
Yeah, Cher, this was literally highway robbery. We had a group of thieves that would...
You know, it's rare in these days when someone uses the term literally correctly.
That's true.
Yeah, Cher, this was literally highway robbery. We had a group of thieves that would follow successful gamblers and then rob them out on the road. But it was a joint FBI, LA Sheriff's task force that put an end to it.
We're happy to have them off the streets.
He's referring to these two men, Derek Lopez and Juan Gonzalez of Southgate, indicted today in federal court for a series of armed robberies outside several different Southland casinos.
What do they do? Just keep going up and down the 710 freeway? Okay, today we're going to do the Bike, and tomorrow we're going to do Crystal Casino, and then Hustler Casino. Is that still a thing? No? Okay, let's go to Hawaiian Gardens.
Okay, here's the thing about the security at these casinos. You want to talk about a group of people that don't play? Casinos don't play. A good friend of mine was an executive, a security executive for some of these casinos, and really is a consultant that goes into different casinos all over the globe. And his background is that he was a JAG attorney in the military, and he's an expert on police technology. He's one of the smartest people I know. I've had many extensive conversations with him about security at these casinos. Basically, every inch of that property is being surveilled. They have cameras everywhere. If you're talking about money, they have multiple cameras on any space that may involve money, which at a casino is basically everywhere. They read your license plates. They read your face. They collect evidence. They know what's going on at all times. Do not forget, when multiple members of the LA City Council went down for public corruption because poker chips were being laundered from developers to politicians, it wasn't the feds that caught them. It wasn't the local government that caught them. It wasn't the ethics commission that caught them. It was the casino security, because they were on top of it.
Oh, I remember this one. Yes, Jose Huizar was going to the high roller room with a Chinese developer, and it was the pit boss that called the feds and said, your elected official is compromised.
But didn't the same thing happen to Mitch Englander at the casino in Palm Springs?
Yes, it did. And John Lee was on that trip and doesn't ever want to talk about it.
That's right.
The feds say Lopez.
I think he's in the indictment as employee number B. Staffer B. They call him that, the public comment. Staffer B.
The feds say Lopez was the scout, always looking for winners in the casino. In fact, that's him at a table in the Commerce Casino high-fiving a female target.
Good for you. And then you follow him out to the parking lot and rob them at gunpoint.
And she just thought he was being friendly.
Once they saw a patron that they believed to be a successful gambler, someone who's taking out a large amount of winnings that evening, they would then follow them onto the highway.
It's alleged that Lopez, Gonzalez, and at least two other men would use multiple cars to box in their target along highway off-ramps. This is a surveillance photo of those cars doing just that. The bandits would then swarm the car with guns drawn.
Smash the
Boy, they're really going for it.
It's like a mob movie.
Smash the windows of that car and then demand and take either the winnings themselves or the actual casino chips.
And if you've ever seen the clientele of a place like the Commerce Casino, chances are this person that did win, that was the victim of this, was fairly elderly.
Uh-oh.
Either the winnings themselves or the actual casino chips, and oftentimes other personal property of those gamblers.
The victims were predominantly Asian and targeted more than 16 times during a 7-month period back in 2023.
Oh, wow.
I'm surprised they were able to get away with it that many times before they got caught.
The feds say this is Lopez during one of those takeovers. The gunman often hitting more than once a night.
Well, you got to remember, most of those happened during the Gascon days in L.A. County.
Oh, that's true. When you could get away with almost anything.
Apparently, these guys got away with robbing at gunpoint people who won money at casinos for 7 months straight.
Quite frankly.
And all it took was a new DA to put an end to that.
And taking in quite a haul.
There is at least $275,000.
Well, it's also interesting that the feds are involved with this. When you steal from someone that wanted a casino, does that make it a federal crime?
Well, typically, a crime like this would be a local crime, correct? It's robbery.
Yeah.
Unless it happens at a post office or on a military base or some form of federal property. The fact that the feds are involved with this leads me to believe that they were frustrated and that the casino was frustrated that the local authorities wouldn't do anything about it.
And taking in quite a haul.
There is at least $275,000 in cash, winnings, chips, or property.
At least.
That's a lot of 3-card poker.
Yeah, no kidding.
At least 2 of the victims were cut by flying glass as they were attacked in their cars. The U.S. Attorney's Office says that Juan Gonzalez was arraigned today in federal court. Lopez, who is already in state prison on firearms charges, will be in federal court later this summer.
And you know what's great about that? When the state of California lets him out early of state prison, because of course that's what we do, he gets then to go to federal prison where you cannot get out early. You have to serve 85% of your time before you're eligible for parole in federal prison.
And the feds who will be leading the prosecution, they're not the Biden holdovers. It's Bill Asaley who's going to put this guy in prison for a long time.
And investigators say they have recovered guns and IDs, fake IDs that were used in these crimes, but very little of the cash and chips.
Oh, they blew through all that.
Oh, I'm sure.
From 2023? Come on.
In Commerce, I'm Rick Chambers. Guys, I'll throw it back to you in Hollywood.
Rick, thank you.
So there you go. The armed robbers of the people who were lucky enough to win at casinos like the Commerce Casino, the Bicycle Casino, Hawaiian Gardens, and more, they can feel safe to go lose more of their money again.
And Randy, it's time to reopen the crime blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
Questions?
And this edition is an update on a story we brought to you before.
It's a blast from the past. And Johnny, I'm just going to play you the first second, and I bet you'll recognize this sound.
Oh, that's the Tesla man.
His name is Tesla Road Rage Guy. He might have an actual name, but that's what we've called him for many years. And he was doing this with a pipe to people's cars that he didn't care for when they did something he didn't like on the road. He mainly did this to women. Some of them filmed him, and he was finally arrested after about a year of this. Then he was sentenced to 5 years in prison. But, John, what happens to people that get sent to California State Prison?
We let them out immediately.
He got out a year later, and none of the victims were notified of this. Well, guess what, Johnny? He ended up in Hawaii, where he's just been arrested in Honolulu for doing the same thing.
You don't say.
For more, here's ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
You might remember this guy. New details tonight on this serial road rage driver. His attacks ranged across Southern California. He went to jail over them, but tonight we're learning more about his latest attack in Hawaii. Dramatic new video showing it all on...
That is not island vibes. People's blood pressure usually goes down in Hawaii. Not this guy.
No lay for him.
Dramatic new video showing it all unfold. A mother describing the terrifying moment when she says that man attacked her teenage daughter.
He then turned his fists on her when she tried to step in.
Whoa!
He beat up a woman?
This was someone that the state of California deemed safe to reenter society early.
Well, he's lucky that when he was committing acts of road rage in Hawaii, that woman's husband wasn't there. Because if the husband was there, the husband would hold him underwater until there were no more tiny bubbles.
Tonight, new video of a notorious road rage driver at it again. His latest alleged victims, a mother and her teenage daughter in Hawaii.
And I was just protecting my daughter like any mom is going to do.
Diane Ung says she was teaching her daughter how to parallel park on Wednesday when a Tesla came zooming by.
Okay, the one part of this story that I never seem to be able to understand is, how does this guy keep affording Teslas? He must be some kind of trust fund baby.
Oh, or he's running some criminal enterprise that we haven't caught him on.
Maybe 40, 50 down the street and almost clipped her. And then her big mouth, local people going to yell out their window. She said, slow down.
Surveillance video that...
See, that's when you just do a shotgun, you move on.
Surveillance video then showing him make a U-turn. She said he then started yelling at her 18-year-old daughter, whose baby was asleep in the car.
Saying, what the F did you say to me? Say it back.
So this guy didn't learn any lessons in the year he was in prison.
Nope. The only thing he learned in prison is how to play gin rummy.
Say it back to me. Then he got closer to my daughter's window, reached in and punched her in her face.
Oh, wow.
That escalated quickly.
This is one of those people that got out early for nonviolence, right?
Ung then got out to defend her.
Halfway in his car already, and what did you say to me? You better shut your face before, I come and do the same thing I did to her. I had my coffee in my hand, my iced coffee from McDonald's, threw it at his car.
It is too bad it wasn't a hot coffee.
I would love to go back and look at all of the reports that the phony baloney social workers and prison psychologists wrote about this guy, because I'm sure they have to go through the motions and produce those reports to let him out early. I would love to know what they concluded about his time in prison.
And he came running across the street, struck me like Superman punch right inside my face.
Whoa!
So he beat up the mother and daughter?
Struck me like Superman punch right inside my face.
Inside her face.
That's gotta hurt.
I fell down to the ground, big gash in my head.
She said the driver then took off.
And I'm just like, go check on the baby. Don't worry about me. Go check on the baby.
The driver, Nathaniel Radamak, was arrested by Honolulu police the next day. Many remember his terrifying road rage attacks from 2022 to 2023 across Southern California that were caught on camera. Most of his victims, women.
I don't know how this would work, but I feel like there's some standing here that this woman that was violently assaulted by this man, I feel like she should sue the state of California.
Oh, yeah. Or how about George Gascon? Because he was the one that led that prosecution, correct?
Yes, he was.
He was sentenced to 5 years in prison, but just 10 months later, he was released early due to prison overcrowding.
And, of course, you're going to have prison overcrowding when you keep closing the prisons.
Of course. But letting this guy out early, that's equity.
You can't even say this was a nonviolent offender. This guy was super violent.
Civil rights attorney Gloria Allred, who...
Oh, no. What is she doing in this story?
Well, she represented the victims.
You're right.
Civil rights attorney Gloria Allred, who represents several of his L.A. victims, says this latest attack was inevitable.
This is someone who apparently remains dangerous, who's not learned his lesson.
Allred.
Superglow, did you support Gascon?
That's a good question, actually.
Allred says Radamak could be extradited to California for violating parole. He was arrested.
No. We don't want him back. We'll just let him out again.
No, leave him in Hawaii.
By Honolulu police, he's been charged with unauthorized entry in a motor vehicle and 2 counts of assault.
There you go. Tesla road rage guy at it again.
Struck me like Superman punch right inside my face.
Maybe they should put an apple in his mouth and take him to the luau. If you'd like to email the show, you can do so at johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. That's johnnydon'tlikeshow@gmail.com. And Randy, if you want to listen to the first hour because you missed that later on today, that's easy to do.
All you got to do is search for The John Phillips Show wherever you get your podcasts. We've got all kinds of content. We've got content that is pro-Superman.
Who else are we going to call Superman?
And we have content that's anti-Superman.
Struck me like Superman punch right inside my face.
Right now, it's time to reopen the California Crime Blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
Questions?
And now it's time to move to the state's third largest city.
In San Jose, a crazy homeless person punched a 15-year-old boy in the face right next to his mother and then called him a very offensive slur. He was arrested. The mother and the son thought everything's going to be okay now, except then 24 hours later, he's back out on the street.
You notice there seems to be a theme to today's stories.
So the mother and the son went to go to complain to Matt Mahan, who said, "You're exactly right. This is insanity." For more, here's NBC Bay Area.
Anger and frustration from a San Jose family still reeling after the unprovoked attack by an unhoused man on their 15-year-old son.
If he attacks somebody, we can actually call him a transient now.
Yeah, when they want you to be sympathetic for them, they're unhoused Californians. When they don't want you to be sympathetic for them, they're transients.
The police arrested the suspect yesterday, but the victim and his mom say they spotted the same man walking in their neighborhood this morning. Today, they took their concerns directly to San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan. NBC Bay Area's Marian Favre was at that meeting and joins us with the story you will only see on NBC Bay Area News.
Garvin, Mayor Matt Mahan met with the victim and his family for about 15 minutes this afternoon. The mayor says he's frustrated, too, that the suspect has already been released, and he's calling for the city, county, and state to work together to provide more secure treatment options so this doesn't happen again.
Well, good luck with that, Matt.
The state has failed the tax-paying, law-abiding citizens, and it has emboldened the crazy bums. If the crazy bum wants to punch someone in the face or call you a slur or attack you in any way, they can get away with it. They get a slap on the wrist, and then they get to do it all over again.
15-year-old Tyler Kintz is still recovering after an unhoused man attacked him Friday morning in front of a bakery on Alum Rock Avenue yesterday.
He just socked me as hard as he could. Everything went black.
The man also yelled a gay...
So he knocked him out.
That's what it sounds like to me.
He just socked me.
We can't keep him in jail for at least a day?
Not in California.
He just socked me as hard as he could. Everything went black.
The man also yelled a gay slur at him and ran off.
What's that about?
I don't know.
Tyler's 12-year-old brother, Dylan, says he spotted the suspect a couple hours later.
I called the police straight away.
Tyler's mother, Michelle, says she took this photo of San Jose police arresting the suspect. Police say the suspect was booked into jail for a hate crime and battery. But this morning, less than 24 hours later, Tyler and his mom say they were in shock when they spotted the same suspect walking down the street.
That was a sight and release?
You see, this is what Gavin Newsom calls, quote unquote, accountability. From his point of view, the homeless man was held accountable for his actions because he was arrested, booked, and then released. This is why when they talk about accountability, that word actually means nothing. This guy needs to go to the clink.
Accountability.
It's disappointing knowing, like, that man assaulted me yesterday, called me a slur, and now he's back out here. Ready.
I thought we take hate crimes so seriously in this state.
Yeah.
Ready to terrorize the community once again. Maybe he'll kill somebody next time.
I'm Michelle.
And unfortunately, what he's saying is what we see a lot. A lot of these people are ticking time bombs, and we could intervene right now, but we choose not to.
But then you look at what happened in New York City with the subway vigilante who tried to protect the people on the subway by putting the crazy homeless guy in a chokehold, and then the guy ended up dying, and then you get charged with murder. So if you defend yourself or you try to protect other people from being the victim of a crime, then you're the one that gets thrown in prison. So you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. What they want you to do is to be the victim of a crime, not punish the person who did it, and tell you to check your privilege. From their point of view, that is the way it should happen.
I'm Michelle. Nice to meet you.
Today, the frustrated family met with San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan to voice their concerns.
If you attack a 15-year-old on his way to school, you shouldn't be back on the streets 24 hours later. You should be in a secure treatment facility, detoxing, getting medical care, and facing some accountability, but getting a chance to turn your life around.
Got to disagree with Matt Mahan on this one.
No. It would be great if we could make them not crazy, but we don't have a magic wand that can do that right now. What you need to do is you need to remove them from society for a period of time so they don't do that to anyone else. And to the extent that you can punish them, do that. No TV, no drugs, none of the fun things that they like. Put them in prison, put them in jail, put them wherever, and let them have all kinds of Lincoln Douglas-style debates with the voices in their head. I don't care what you do with them. Just don't allow them to go out and prey on other people.
In addition to pushing for more secure treatment options, the mayor has also proposed a plan to possibly arrest the unhoused if they repeatedly refuse housing.
Now, I like this aspect. You can see why Matt Mahan is at a breaking point. One of the more common sense mayors. There's only so much you can do as a mayor when the state laws are stacked against you. But if you can say, okay, you either take this stupid shelter that we have or you're going to jail, you can get these people to leave your community and go somewhere that will tolerate it. Oakland.
That's right. Or you can arrest virtually all of them.
I proposed a responsibility to shelter policy precisely to prevent situations like this.
Today, Tyler's mother has a black eye from where Tyler knocked into her after he was hit.
See, I would call that double assault. He hit her, and then the boy who fell hit the mom in the face.
If it weren't for the crazy bum, she wouldn't have a black eye either.
She says she's worried not just for her own son's safety, but all kids in the community.
Yeah, I'm terrified. What if he does it again, right? What if he not only does this again, but what if it's worse? What if he stabs them?
It usually does get worse. Usually the meth makes this kind of stuff escalate.
And when they can do it and get away with it, why not up the ante?
Mayor Mahan.
What I'd love to know is at what point are we going to start going crazy with Prop 36 on some of this stuff? Every single day, this guy's probably carrying meth on him. Arrest him. Get him to that 3. Get him the damn felony because he's not going to treatment.
I talked to a friend who's a deputy district attorney in Southern California, and she told me that they're filing Prop 36 cases right and left. And the judges are all furious with them because they're clogging up the courts with all of these charges. But you know what? I told her to keep going.
Mayor Mahan says he plans to coordinate a meeting with the victim's family to talk about how police handled the situation. And he also wants the family.
The cops cannot file charges. The cops cannot keep people in jail. That is not under their umbrella. That is state law. That's the judges. That's the prosecutor. That's everyone else involved in the system. The cops made the arrest. They did what they were supposed to do. Don't blame them.
And he also wants the family to share their story with the Santa Clara County supervisors in hopes of adding more secure treatment beds. Marianne Favreau, NBC Bay Area News.
Meanwhile, that guy is free to stalk the community and punch more teenagers.
How much do you want to bet we're going to do another crime blotter story at some point in the future, just like we did today on the Tesla road rage guy, about this guy sucker punching someone else?
It's going to happen. And unfortunately, it's going to happen really soon.
Struck me like Superman punch right inside my face.
If you're in San Jose, you better get eyes in the back of your head. And right now it's time to reopen the California Crime Blotter.
If the cashier is dummy.
Questions?
And Randy, surprise, surprise, we're going to finish up with Oakland.
It's a lot of crime now.
It was a bloody weekend in Oakland. Well, that's every weekend in Oakland. But there was a triple shooting outside of Oakland's famous Fox Theater. For more, here's Cron 4.
3 people are recovering, 1 in critical condition tonight after a late-night shooting in downtown Oakland. It happened right near the Fox Theater just after 1 a.m. this morning off 19th and Telegraph. Cron 4's Jack Molmud has the details.
Well, it's a large crowd here on a Sunday to see Slow Dive at the Fox Theater. It's usually a pretty crowded area during the weekend anyway in this part of Oakland, and that's why many neighbors who live here in this part of downtown say they're shocked to hear of a shooting happening just blocks away.
In Oakland?
Why do you think Chicago takes the cake in terms of the national news about all the violence that goes on over the weekend? And Oakland occasionally gets an honorable mention.
Well, it could be, and we know this to be true, that there's a lot of news crews that don't want to shoot stuff late at night at Oakland because they can't get security.
That's right. The news crews get robbed all the time up there.
I said, hell no, baby boy. Let me get up on out of here.
Oakland police say just after 1 in the morning Sunday, 19th and Telegraph looked like this.
Nah, that's unfortunate. And it's really sad because it's like hard to be, like, it's just hard because it's like, I've been in Oakland and I feel numb.
Oh, no.
Well, every man on the street that we play sounds totally defeated.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on.
I've been in Oakland and I feel numb.
Oakland, I love you, but you don't love me.
This poor city.
Stephanie, who lives in downtown, tells us she's not surprised to hear about another shooting in Oakland. 3 people shot, One victim found at the scene. 2 others took themselves to the hospital, with one of them in critical condition.
And this, of course, is happening at the same time where the city of Oakland is trying to tout that crime is down. And specifically, they're saying that everything is down except murder, which is interesting because murder's the one statistic you can't fake.
Okay, replay that last line there again, because if you pay attention to what he said that after they got shot, they weren't taken to the hospital by ambulance. He said that they took themselves to the hospital.
Well, that's usually what gang members do. They don't call 911. Who do you think is shooting at each other at 1 a.m?
Good point.
Stephanie, who lives in...
Unless it's another shootout between Mario Juarez and Hermelindo Ramos, it's probably gang activity. And yes, I remember that name now.
Stephanie, who lives in downtown, tells us she's not surprised to hear about another shooting in Oakland. 3 people shot, 1 victim found at the scene, 2 others took themselves to the hospital, with one of them in critical condition. No word at all.
If you work at that big Kaiser in the middle of the Oakland and you're working the ER, how many people are walking in with gunshot wounds a night?
Oh, if you ever find anyone who works at that hospital at a dinner party or a cocktail party, you sidle up right next to them and you just listen and let them talk. I'm sure they have the best stories of anyone in this state.
No word at all on a shooter, motive, events surrounding the shooting, or anything.
You know, it's cold out here, and I feel like I wish I could have had more feelings, but I'm numb.
Stephanie says
she's so over it.
Yeah, I can tell.
Stephanie says with Saturday being 510 Day, a day to celebrate the phone area code representing Oakland,
well, nothing says 510 Day like a bunch of people getting 5-0'd.
Yeah, I guess if you're trying to improve the situation on 510 Day, you can try to get them to shoot the guns into the sky and not at each other. But that's asking a lot.
How are those ceasefire life coaches handling this situation?
Apparently, they were on vacation last week, too.
This shooting and many other crimes in Oakland are robbing her of her joy.
It's a lot going on in the world, like in America, for people to be thinking that they should come out to a good time and then be tripping on somebody.
But business carries on. Thousands of people crammed into the Fox Theater to see the band Slow Dive, including Jerry Ordias, who's normally ushering ticketers at the Fox Theater.
I'm here actually with a ticket for once. Slow Dive is one of my favorite bands.
Not shaken by the shooting, as he works here in downtown every weekend.
Whenever I usher here, I always, in the back of my mind, am worried that there might be a drive-by shooting.
Whoa!
Can you imagine worrying about that every time you go to work? And it's not like you're in the military on the front lines of some war zone. The man is an usher at a theater.
He's tearing tickets, or I guess that's a dated phrase. He's scanning phones with his phone.
That's not supposed to involve hazard pay.
It is in Oakland.
Not a day goes by where I don't wish I could just wave a magic wand and silence the gunfire.
Whenever I usher here, I always, in the back of my mind, am worried that there might be a drive-by shooting. But
you can't be making much tearing tickets at the Fox.
No. At that point, it's time to look for a new job.
What can you do, you know?
He says the shooting itself at this location, though, is surprising. But he says he's not deterred from enjoying Oakland for what it has to offer.
I fall in love with the city every time I come, so I'm...
You literally just said you're thinking about a drive-by shooting every day.
There's a lot going on in his noggin.
I fall in love with the city every time I come, so I'm not scared to come to the city, to Oakland.
Oakland police are looking for any tips surrounding the shooting, and that includes photos and videos from the night. Reporting in Oakland, Jack Molnett, KRON 4 News.
There you go. Yet another weekend of bloody violence in Oakland. Last weekend, it was the high-end steakhouse that got shut up, and this time it was a shooting in front of the Fox Theater. But don't you worry, Oakland's hand-picked chief of police from Sheng Tao says crime is down.
When I was on vacation last week, people kept sending me the pictures of the restaurant, the high-end restaurant that got shot up. And it looked like it was some kind of mob hit that happened there. There was blood everywhere, broken glass everywhere. It looked like a scene from one of those old movies.
And this wasn't like in the middle of the night. This was during the dinner service. And the people that were shot were having dinner at the steakhouse.
Was anyone arrested for that?
It's Oakland. What do you think?
Of course not.
I've been in Oakland and I feel numb.
And you know what's funny is whenever people talk about situations exactly like this, Gavin Newsom always says the same thing. Oh, it's people who don't live here, who don't know what's going on, who are saying all of these things. If they would just educate themselves on what's going on in California, they would know that all of that is propaganda and none of it's true. Well, we live here, and this is the news. But that's why Gavin Newsom doesn't want to talk to people like us. He wants to talk to Charlie Kirk.
It's wild, wild west out here.
Or he used to want to talk to Charlie Kirk. I guess the listenership to that podcast is down about 99% since the first episode.
It's pretty much me, Alex, and Zavala now.
Pretty much.